nziza komeza imihigo bw'abanyarwanda ntibusagambe ngo byiduhetse horane senze turagushyigikiye Rwanda nziza komeza imihigo bw'abanyarwanda ntibusagambe ngo byiduhetse horane senze turagushyigikiye Rwanda nziza turagukunda
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, friends and family from the travel and tourism industry. My name is indeed Kagame, and it gives me great honor and privilege to be your MC here in Kigali for the next 2 days. Now, yes, I am named Kagame in my identity document, but I'm globally known as the message architect, which I thought was quite appropriate if you look at the theme for this year, building bridges to a sustainable future. Why am I known as that? Because I love to play with words. I break them, I build them, and I create messages with meaning. So yes, while I know that WTTC stands for World Travel and Tourism Council, I thought maybe for the next 2 days, I'll let WTTC stands for We Take Travel and Tourism Critically. We take it critically because we understand how it builds the economies, how it is the very bridge that can be built for a sustainable future. Throughout the next 2 days, we will break the program into 5 sessions. Of course, there are connect, invest, collaborate, promote, and protect. It now gives me absolutely great honor to invite to stage the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, none other than Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan.
Let me begin my remarks by thanking my brother, President Paul Kagame, for the warm welcome and hospitality accorded to me and my delegation since our arrival in this beautiful city of Kigali. We felt home, and of course, Rwanda is our second home. I'm also delighted to meet my friends, Arnold, Julia, Manfredi, Peter Greenberg, and the wife, Hande. Welcome to Kigali, welcome to Africa. The choice of Africa, and in particular Kigali, as a venue for this important event was deliberate, because Africa and tourism are inseparable. And so it is in order for those in tourism ecosystem to meet in Africa and discuss the future of tourism. I also wish to thank and commend Ms. Julia Simpson and her team for the job well done, and for putting all the necessary arrangements for this summit together. Thank you for your time and dedication. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is a fact that Africa is endowed with rich and abundant natural and cultural touristic attractions. To give my own country as an example, Tanzania has 21 national parks, including the Serengeti and Ngorongoro Crater, more than 40 game-controlled and game-reserved areas, more than 400 forestry reserves, and over 120 tribes with diverse cultures. Above all, we have beautiful Zanzibar Islands. This is just one country out of 54 countries of Africa. We have heard about Burundi, we heard about Rwanda, and we'll soon hear from President Kagame what Rwanda has to offer. Tourism contributes considerably in most of African economies. In Tanzania, for example, tourism sector contributes up to 17.2% of our GDP and 25% of our total export earnings. While this is a massive contribution from one single source, it entails that Africa can leverage tourism to drive economic growth and create employment opportunities. Thus, this sector, if well utilized, can be of great use to most of African countries in terms of repositioning the continent in other connected sectors and henceforth attracting more foreign currencies. So in order for a tourism industry to make expected and required strides, there are, however, some serious questions for African governments to ask ourselves and some considerations to undertake. Number one is the strategic branding and marketing. Africa should develop compelling narratives and a brand identity that highlight Africa's unique natural heritage, natural beauty, and diverse experiences. We must invest in targeted marketing campaigns across various platforms to reach the global audience. In my country, for example, we are experiencing a lot of new arrivals following the global watched film, The Royal Tour, produced by CBS editor Peter Greenberg, whom I'm happy to learn is amongst the WTTC brand ambassadors. Linked to this, Africa should ensure wide access to information resources about local customs, traditions, and cultural practices. Africa should tell its own story in its own terms and set a positive narrative about our continent. We cannot afford to continue remaining silent in this era of fake news. We should stand up and put the record straight. Africa is not only the future, it is now. Number two is an issue of conservation and preservation, that Africa is regarded as a guardian of nature because our forefathers played their part in protecting the same. If Africa is to rely on natural attractions, it is imperative that we should prioritize conservation and support efforts to preserve cultural sites, artifacts, and traditions, and to ensure they remain accessible for generations to come. In Tanzania, we have the motto by our dedicated tourism television, which says, "Tumerithishwa tuwarithishe." Loosely translated, what we inherited, we should also pass it on to the next generation. In view of this, distinguished delegates, Africa should continue to prioritize sustainable tourism practices by minimizing the environmental footprint of tourism activities, promoting the conservation of natural resources, and supporting community-based tourism initiatives. We in Africa should emphasize on ecotourism, which promotes responsible travel to natural areas, contributing to conservation efforts, and providing sustainable economic benefits to local communities. My last point for consideration, but not least, is research and data analysis. For tourism sector to continue being relevant, we should endeavor to undertake research on tourism trends, visitors' preferences, and environmental impacts. This will allow us to make informed decisions and refine strategies for sustainable growth across the continent. In my view, this is an area where the WTTC and other partners can also come in. Linked to this is enhancing the capacity of professionals to understand and respond effectively to the challenges facing the sector. I'm insisting on research and data analysis because some of us identify the sector as tourism sector, and we lose some constitutes of travel. We put them aside. And this may have effect on the calculations of the percentage of contributions to our GDPs and economies. So that's why I'm insisting on research and data analysis. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, it will be amiss on my part if I conclude without acknowledging the role of private sector in the tourism ecosystem. We in Tanzania believe that a coordinated and well-regulated private sector is an engine to our economic growth. It is important, therefore, to note that the private sector has a big role to play in our endeavors. I have indicated one example, the film by Peter Greenberg, The Royal Tour, which was fully funded by the private sector of Tanzania. So this is just one example, but the list can be long. So collaboration with government, private sector, and non-profit organization cannot be overemphasized. I will, at this juncture, end my remarks by inviting the private sector to come and join our efforts in making travel and tourism more vibrant in our economies in a win-win relationship. In Tanzania, our doors are wide open, opportunities are endless. If you keep on waiting, you will be missing out. I thank you very much for listening.
I am super excited to bring on stage the next speaker. He is the leader of the very land that we are in. So we are honored to have him in the room. Please help me welcome on stage the President of the Republic of Rwanda, His Excellency Paul Kagame.
Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Excellency Prosper Bazombanza, Vice President of the Republic of Burundi, Arnold Donald, my friend, Chair of the World Travel Tourism Council, Julia Simpson, my sister, CEO of the World Travel and Tourism Council, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to join you to open the World Travel and Tourism Council Global Summit, the first ever, as said earlier, in Africa. We're very honored by the presence here today of my sister, Her Excellency President Samia Suluhu Hassan. Madam President, I thank you most sincerely for your presence. I also thank the other countries represented here today, especially from our East African region. This is very important. After all, when tourists visit Rwanda, they usually also have a stop in Tanzania, Kenya, Burundi, or Uganda as well. We are actually a single destination with attractions and experiences that reinforce one another. To WTTC, I thank you very much for choosing Rwanda as the venue for this year's summit and for the excellent work that you and your members are doing. You honor not only our country, Rwanda, but also Africa as a whole. From here, Africa can connect with the rest of the world and vice versa. Let me explain why this moment is so meaningful for us. Almost 30 years ago, Rwanda experienced its darkest moment. This was a place that people fled from, a situation that the world looked away from in horror. But we vowed not to let the past define us. This meant building a nation where all Rwandans live in peace and dignity. And indeed, beyond that, we imagined in a Rwanda that anyone in the world would want to travel to. That is how, early on, we identified tourism as a key driver of economic growth and employment. We have not been disappointed. Every year, we welcome so many visitors who come to Rwanda and to enjoy the unique natural beauty, to attend sporting events, or to participate in gatherings like this one. This is a privilege and a trust that we do not take for granted. Conservation is a big part of our strategy to build a more sustainable future. We are delighted that the Nyungwe National Park is now a World Heritage Site. We're also investing in the infrastructure and skills to host major sporting events such as Basketball Africa League. Globally, the travel and tourism industry has recovered strongly, but the high cost of air travel to Africa and within Africa remains a barrier. Implementation of the single African air transport market is therefore an important priority. We also removed visa restrictions for citizens of every African country, as well as many other countries. Let there be no mistake about it. An African can get on a plane to Rwanda whenever they wish, and will not pay a thing to enter our country. We should not lose sight of our own continental market. Africans are the future of global tourism as our middle class continues to grow at a fast pace in the decades to come. We must work closely together with partners like you to continue developing Africa into a premier destination for global travel. I hope you will take some time to visit Rwanda before you depart, and that you will return here often. I wish you a productive deliberations, and I thank you for your kind attention.